Welcome everyone, welcome back. We are at the Alchemy event 2012 here in Irvine, California, and it is my great pleasure to introduce to you Stephen D. Kelly. Stephen D. Kelly. Stephen is an inventor, laser pioneer, writer, and public speaker. He's worked in defense industries, founded his own company, produced laser aiming systems used by law enforcement and military. He's worked and contracted for NSA, CIA, and other companies in the business of the A's, including Templars and Bilderbergers. The results of these experiences led him to develop his own psychic skills, but tonight we are going to hear some never before revealed super duper information about secrets. Here's Stephen D. Kelly.
First of all, again, thank you, David, for having me here. I'm going to go out here. You know, this has been a very love and light thing, and Zarutha pointed that out very much, and I don't want to decrease the energy because this is not about scaring people, and this is not about negativity. This is about shedding light where light needs to go and spreading truth. And I would like to dedicate my appearance tonight to three people: Bill Cooper, Phil Schneider, and Gary Webb. Now, if you don't know who those people are, learn about them. Okay, they all gave their lives to spread the truth. So those are my heroes, and I think you know, most of you people here know Gary. I think most of you people know who these people are, but at least two of them talked about underground bunkers, and we're going to be talking about underground bunkers today. Specifically, we're going to be taking the lid off of one of the crown jewels of the entire underground bunker system, and it's also the weakest link in the entire house of cards. So they know this day was coming, and they've been waiting for it, and they've been scared of it because they knew what would happen when everybody finds out about it. But a real quick brief history so you know where I came from, and you'll just know why I got exposed to all this stuff. And I'm not going to focus on too many details because we don't have a lot of time, so I'm going to go straight into the good stuff. But I got recruited into the CIA at an early age. Me and my brother, this was kind of kept in the family. Got that transferred into hooking up with the NSA. Didn't know it was the NSA, thought it was the CIA. Turned out to be the Ollie North gang. Directly after that, I got involved with the Billy Meyer people, so I got turned on to all the Pleiadians and the Reptoids and everything else. Okay, but I had also been starting to develop my psychic skills because I realized real quick that that's where it's at. Technology was always my big thing. Because of my multiple recruitments by these underground agencies, I was able to recognize when other people around me were also going through this process, and because of that, I was introduced to a person who was being recruited to become a Templar. And before that, I didn't know what Templars were. I thought they were the guys, the knights with the big red crosses on their shields and what have you, but there are real live Templars here today. They are very, very much in power. Again, this is a dual polarity system, so when I say it's one group, it's actually more. It's almost like two sides of the same coin. Entities that, and we won't name names, but entities that historically seem to be polar opposites and enemies, in reality they work side by side. Okay, they go to war and they appear to be enemies. It's not the case. It's all a big farce. It's usually done to generate lots of bloodshed and lots of misery. But real quick, the people that I was dealing with were local here in LA, and one of my handlers, I had several handlers that, by the way, is there any CIA here today? Any CIA? NSA? Homeland Security? Homeland Security? No? Okay, good, all right. Okay, if anybody charges me, come on, tackle them for me, please. Anyway, you guys ready for this? How many people have been to the Getty Museum? And I'm not talking about the one in Malibu, I'm talking about the one on Santa Monica Mountain. Okay? You notice anything funny about that place? It's kind of funny, huh? You got to take a tram to get up there. You can't park anywhere near it. Kind of looks like King Solomon's temple, doesn't it? Looks like something right out of ancient Jerusalem, huh? How about that Travertine marble covering every square inch of it? You notice that? 4-inch thick Travertine marble. Think about that. What is Travertine marble? It's like one of the hardest substances on earth. It's natural ballistic armor. The entire building is bulletproof. You know, I've got some photographs here that I took, and I'd love to show you these photos, but legally I can't, because that would constitute a copyright violation. But you know what? I can say anything I want about those guys because they have to prove it's false. But bear in mind that when I learned about this, and I'll tell you how we learned about it, I thought I was going to get killed immediately. And this is not the first time that I've been through this, had this feeling. When I was messing around playing footsies with the NSA people, I thought for sure they were going to kill me. Okay? Other times I thought I was going to die. And if they don't kill you in about a year, you figure you're going to survive. You know, if a year goes by and they haven't killed you, you know, oh, I guess I can take the body armor off. They haven't got me yet. But when I found out about the Getty, and I'll tell you how we did it, we were dealing with a guy that was being recruited. And we kind of figured out something funny was going on. So we hooked up with this remote viewer, really gifted remote viewer. And this person was actually in New York, okay? And decided to go downstairs and take a look. Now I'm going to describe to you exactly what this remote viewer told me was down there. And I'm going to also describe to you the reaction of the remote viewer, because it was so shocking that that person never wanted to talk to us again, okay? But the day after that remote viewing was made, my brother came back to me and said, uh-oh, this is what she saw, and related to me, and I thought, oh my God, we are both dead for sure. We have done it now, this is it, now they are really going to kill us. Well, nobody told these people that we had done this. You don't go around saying, hey, we're going to do a remote viewing. Yeah, we did a remote viewing, did you know, could you tell? Well, they freaked out. The next day, they freaked out. And what does that tell you? I didn't tell them, we didn't tell them that we were doing this. Well, I'll tell you why. How did they even know that we had remote viewed their little facility? Well, psychic powers and psychic skills are very, very important with these people. And in fact, they look down on people that don't have psychic skills. And this is why I try to teach people psychic skills, because it's like Princess over here was talking to you with the solar flares. We have enough power, we can practically move the earth away if we want. We can recreate the field around the earth. Anyway, let's talk about the Getty. The Getty is a pimple on the back of an elephant. There is a city below there that is just huge. Now, there's a lot of bunkers in the United States, okay? There's at least 250 in the United States, and they're all linked up, okay? And they all have different purposes. They talk about Dulce. Dulce, of course, as we know, is primarily devoted to biologicals, developing blood plasma products to replace the blood that the aliens, the reptoids, tend to require. Denver Airport, we all talk about Denver Airport, that's devoted to aviation. Montauk, of course, is East Coast Star Wars, and they're all over the place. We know about Edwards Air Force Base, Area 51, of course, everybody knows about that. That's a research and development site. Well, every single one of these things are hooked up by a tube train. Now, the thing about this is that they go over state lines, okay? They'll go over international lines. So in other words, there is no sovereign government involved with these people. This is an underground government, truly an underground government, and they go back to the Magna Carta. They trace back to the Magna Carta. If you want to know what they operate under, it's Magna Carta. And there's two versions of the Magna Carta, one for the common people and one for the nobles. They follow the one for the nobles because they are the Templars. If you read the Magna Carta, you'll see that they essentially divide up the world, and every one of them has to give 20% to the crown. Okay, and the crown doesn't physically take possession, but they always own it. And now this is interesting about the crown, because I'll tell you, when the Getty Museum was completed, back in, I think it was roughly 2000, the Queen of England gave J. Paul Getty a knighthood. Now what did he do to deserve a knighthood? He built the nicest castle that anybody ever seen underground. Now I mean, we're talking plush, This thing, think Caligula, think imperial Rome, think gold-plated, think everything covered in marble and lapis and just incredible. Okay, or remember, the Getty is a museum. It's also the repository of Western culture. This is what their job is. It's kind of like Noah's Ark, okay? And they think we're going to save all this artwork. And they also think the Vatican keeps art there. You think, why would they do that? Well, these guys are thinking that something bad is going to happen. Well, the thing is, like the guy that was up here saying, oh, well, the elite have their thing and the steerage class have their thing. Well, I'll tell you, this is the thing about these elitists. And I'm going to talk more about the Getty, but I'm going to tell you a little bit about the power structure and how these people think. The richest, think of the most Bill Gates type person, Warren Buffett, these kind of type of people. Okay, they may be like kings of the earth, but there are always people above them. And when it comes down to this whole bunker thing, they have a status level. The lower levels, they get to go to a island in Greece, the Azores. They send them off to the Azores. The second step up, they get to go into the bunkers. Okay, the levels above those guys, they get to go to the moon. The level above that, they get to go to Mars. And it's like, you think, oh, yeah, I'd like to go to Mars. And they're like, you're not cool enough. You're never going to get to Mars. I mean, it's incredible. And it's elitism on top of elitism on top of elitism. And it's not just the humans, because it's what's above the humans? Fourth density entities, the reptoids, the gray guys, and what have you. So half the time underneath these bases, you have the aliens just directly underneath that. Okay. Well, if you get to you look at the chain of command, and I had to dig. I want to understand, the motives. Where does this go? Who reports to who? You take your trilateral commissions, your CFRs, your Templars, your Masons, your Illuminatis, your whatever. It's all like a big corporation of tentacles, and it works its way up. What do you think is on the top of that pyramid? Anybody want to venture a guess? What's at the top of that pyramid?
Alien. Satan?
The Creator. Who made Satan? The Creator. Who runs the world, ultimately? Satan. Who's fighting? Who's the white hats and the dark hats? We talk about Nibiru, and we talk about the Anunnaki. Well, you know what? I've heard that the Anunnaki have gone good. I've heard that they've found Jesus. I've heard, in the metaphysical community, we talk about ascended masters. And we have Sananda, Jesus, right? Well, what's his title? What is he as the Ascended Masters? He is the galactic commander of the Federation. He's like the big boss of all these guys. I don't know. I'm Christian. Works for me, I guess. I can, I don't have a problem with that. So, the Christian people, they go, oh, I don't see, how can you believe in aliens and believe in Jesus too? It's like, well, they work for him, So if you could accept that the bad guys are ultimately working for Satan, then why can't we think that the good guys are ultimately hooked up to Jesus? And if you don't believe in God, the Creator, or the deity like that, well, think of it as source. And we all come from source. Okay, so ultimately, we're all still source. Okay, back to the Getty. Me? Huh. Now, I'm going to talk about me. I'm going to keep talking about the Getty because this is what's important. This is what I'm here for. We can talk about me some other time. If you go to the Getty, okay, it took a long time to build that thing, okay? And it has a foundation that was the largest continuous pour of concrete ever. Now, I don't know how thick it is. It's probably like 8 feet thick or something like that. And it's massive. It's just a big old block of concrete sitting on top of this mountain. And the entire Getty is built on top of that. Okay? Now let's take a little ride up the tram. We're going up the tram, looking at all the manicured bushes and all the cameras everywhere. It's like, wow, there's cameras upon cameras upon cameras. There's cameras watching the cameras. you know. You get up to the tram. You get out. The tram, it dumps you out on this side of the tram. Well, if you go, and they do this on purpose, of course, but if you go around to the front of the tram, right here, and don't go up the stairs up to the museum, that's up there. You go around here, there's a little door here, a little entrance. You go that way, and then you turn right, and there's a narrow walkway. And it goes back to the security entrance. Now, there's a narrow walkway for a reason. It's called a kill zone. With travertine pillars. So, you know, remember, this is a fortress. They think tactics. They're thinking about people invading, okay, trying to get into their, you know, and ultimately, this is why I'm telling you this stuff, is because this is the doorway into the system. And, you know, there's LA has 10 million people, something like that? You don't think that they're a little concerned that million Los Angeles people might decide that they want to take refuge in their little bunker all at once? What do you think they're going to do? Well, okay, back to our little tour. You go down this little walkway. They haven't shot you, you know. You go into the security area. All kinds of security people. Lots of hallways. Big doors. Okay, you're at the very back in this big long thing. You can go down. There's all sorts of art. You know, you think there's a lot of art in the museum? My God, you should see the art that's below the museum. They have rooms of paintings. They're just stacked up. It's a vault. They're not trying to show the art off. They're trying to protect it. They're trying to preserve it. You know, this is Noah's Ark for the art in the Western culture. Anyway, you get past all that. You might pass by the armory. They have a room filled with machine guns. And you think, it's a museum. What do they need an armory for? What does a museum need hundreds of M16s and stuff just sitting there ready to go? And then another thing you notice, the people working there. One thing I noticed, they got these no-neck dudes walking around like that with his thighs like hams, you know. It's like, God, that guy looks like he's fresh out of the military, and you see these guys all over the place. And you think, wow, their personnel sure look like they're a bunch of retired military NSA people. Well, it's because they are. You know, when I go there, they follow me everywhere I go. You know, and I'll tell you, here's an example. Here is just for the doubters, this is a parking ticket dated, I don't know, something 2000, and I can't even see without my glasses, but essentially it says 1030, okay? And you notice there's a blue EM, stands for employee. You know, how did I get an employee parking pass? Because I was on the list. The museum, you can't even get in the parking lot until 11 o'clock. They let me in at 10:30. Hillary Clinton didn't get treated this well. Seriously, I saw it before she did, you know, and she wanted to, and she's one of them. She's a caver. Here's a little news clipping. This is about Prince Andrew. Remember him? You know, Prince Andrew. That was a while back. He flew into Edwards Air Force Base. Okay, and because they said, well, he's a military guy, he used to fly aircraft, and he's going to check out the aircraft. And also, Queen Elizabeth had allegedly loaned some of her Raphael pencil drawings to the Getty. So he was going to go visit the Getty on behalf of his mother and look at his mother's pencil drawings, like he'd never seen them before or something, you know. Okay. Well, so he stops over there at Edwards Air Force Base prior to his little trip to the Getty. Well, why do you think he went to Edwards Air Force Base first? He rode the train. He went to Edwards. He went down in their little base. Here's the tube. Let's take the tube to the Getty. I mean, if you're going to debut the greatest castle ever constructed on Earth, and this is a gift to the queen and the crown, the queen's going to send her son to go check it out and cut the ribbon. You know, that's what he did. So he takes the tube, goes to the Getty. You know, they probably have a limo driving or a jet. Says, oh yeah, the prince was on the jet. Yeah, bullshit, he took the tube. But anyway, so here he is getting a knighthood, or he's presenting an award to Steven Spielberg and the guy from The Phantom. I can't remember, but anyway, point is, why in the heck is the Crown so concerned about something in Los Angeles? It's just another museum. It's not that special. Well, it is the crown jewel of the entire structure. And these guys all report to the Crown. All of them. The Bilderbergs, Templars, whatever. People like to refer to the Queen as the big head lizard. Well, she probably is, you know. And we know what's above the lizards, you know. So now the thing is why is this important? Why do I want to focus so much on this? A, because I chose to be with you guys, okay? I had the opportunity to be one of those elitist idiots living in a bunker, and I call them cavers. Okay, now that word came from them. One of my handlers referred to them as a caver, and that's, people think, what's a caver? I want you all to remember that word, caver. They are cavers. When we talk about Bilderbergers and Illuminati, all these bunker people, they are cavers. We want the world to know that these people exist. Now, these guys think they are gods walking among us. They think they are Olympians, modern Olympians. They are polytheist. They worship the ancient deities. They worship the Egyptian gods, the Roman gods, and the Greek gods. And they are way into this stuff. And I'll tell you, and it's intoxicating, because once you start sucking up that stuff and you start thinking that you are so much better, it's like a drug, and you murder 1 million people because they're just animals. Well, they do that. Let's go back to the tour. You're going down the stairs. You go down the hall. There's a nuclear blast door. Okay? Big enough to drive a tank through. Just like you think of Cheyenne Mountain, the big door, same thing. You go on the little tour, you go, what? That looks like a nuclear blast door. What's up with that? There ain't no nuclear blast door. No. Don't say nuclear. It's just a door. You know. Well, okay, you go behind the nuclear blast door and there's an elevator. Big enough to drive a tank into. Yeah. Imagine a huge elevator. You could practically drive a semi-truck or something onto this elevator. Well, where does it go down? It goes down about a mile at least. First level, what do you get to? Psychics. The first level down, there's a floor with about 200 Nazi psychics. And why are they there? They are there to try to prevent remote viewers from going down and seeing what's down there. They're not very good at it. But they act like an alarm system because they can tell when somebody else is going through. And this is how they knew that my person had gone in there. They alerted them. You get past the remote viewers. They have an area that they call the spa. Okay, the spa. And the thing about the spa is that the guys that go up above and mingle with us on the surface, they like to go down and hang out in the spa. Okay, now when you think of the spa, again, think of Caligula. Think of the most decadent, Romanesque spa that you could possibly think of. I wanted to put that on the cover of my book, but I couldn't. I mean, I can't even imagine how decadent this is, because everything is gold-plated and just insane, you know. And again, you know, there's a lot of people down there, and they have people who are like slaves, essentially, down there too. Well, anyway, once you get past the spa, you get into the area which is like a city, okay? And there's a big central column, essentially, which is like a big area. It's multi-floor, but it's like a big tube that goes down. It's like building a skyscraper, only they're building the floors downward. They'll build a floor, they'll go down, they'll build the next floor, and down and down and down. And there are tubes that they use with these big tunnel boring machines, and they radiate out from the center like the spokes on a wheel. And this is what they do. And it's multiple layers of this. And then they build these condos or these living quarters within this. And it's all centrally located, this big thing in the middle. You go down past all that, well, there's other elevators that go down. Like, for instance, across the street from the Getty, there's the Skirball Center. Anybody know what the Skirball Center is? Well, you can guess. Look it up, Skirbal, Skirball. And I'm not even going to tell you what it is. You can figure that out for yourself. But it's hooked up too. It has an elevator. There's several homes scattered around the hills that belong to very, very wealthy people, and they have little hookups. You know, so imagine you got a billionaire Hollywood executive living up there. He's gonna pay the money. He's gonna have a little condo down there, and that's the way it is. It's like if you're a benefactor, if you shell out all this money, it says you're so special. We're gonna guarantee you're gonna live, and we're gonna provide you the space and a way to get down there in an instant. Okay, and this is how they help pay for these things. Probably half of the gross national product of the country goes into building these things. Okay, and I'm talking asset forfeiture program. You know, when they bust the guys for selling drugs or whatever, and the DEA comes, they take all their possessions. You think that stuff gets sold at auction, right? Who do you think is getting this stuff at auction? Half the stuff that goes to auction and asset forfeiture never makes it. They take it right off the top. How about a big old ship comes in and loaded with containers? Half of those containers might have a little problem with the paperwork. So what does customs do? They confiscate it. And it ends up in auction. Okay, so they get a lot of money, from every source. Anyway, back to our tour. Below the living areas, we have tube trains. Now in the Getty, there's a tube that goes to Edwards, and on a tube that goes to the Catalina Island. Now people know about the Catalina Island one, they know about Edwards, they know about Area 51, The one at Catalina Island, of course, has got underwater vehicles, spacecraft, submarines, the whole 9 yards, but nobody knows about the Getty. Well, the thing is, most of these facilities are built in areas controlled by the military or in airports where you've got law enforcement, you've got protection, they can't get to it. Somebody mentioned the one here in Irvine. The Ziggurat, I believe, is a federal building here in Irvine, which is also allegedly connected to this system. Well, that's a federal building. You can't get near it. But the Getty is a civilian installation. You can go up there, you could walk around, you could look at it, you can get within feet of the elevator, and you can't do this anywhere else. And they are very, very concerned that everybody here is going to go out there and tell everyone what they know, and that the media is going to make this public, and that Nibiru is going to come and people are going to freak out, and there's going to be impending doom, and all of a sudden 1 million people who now know about the Getty are going to show up at their front door. We'd like to go downstairs too, please. They don't want that. What are they going to do? What are they going to do if 1 million Angelinos show up and want to go downstairs? Just, what do you think they're going to do? There was a book written about 100 years ago. Very, very controversial book, and you're not even allowed to talk about it. They'll practically throw you in jail just for mentioning it in public. And in that book, there's a chapter with a line. And that line essentially says, "What fear do we have of the blank? None, for we have an awesome weapon, the undergrounds, the metropolitans, who shall before the time comes have been built beneath all of the western capitals. And should the rise up before the time is right, we shall blow these up into the air with all their resources, their archives." What does that mean? There's a nuclear trap door. When they close the door, they close the door. They don't want us going down. Let's say they're worried about Anunnaki. If they're going to go downstairs and they plan on staying there for a long time, they're going to shut the door and they want nothing following them downstairs. So if 1 million Angelinos decide to show up, they're going to fight them off until they withdraw down into their bunkers, and somebody's going to push a button. They're going to shut their nuclear blast door, and that nice Tavertine building with all that nice artwork, whoosh, fallout. Turns it into glass. Nobody's going to be going down that elevator. So, what do you guys want to do about it? Nothing? You want to just complain to them and say, hey, how come, where do you get off? Well, that's the thing. You know, all I can do is tell you this, and I am risking my life, okay? The word's out, all right? It's over. It's out there. I wrote my book, and I didn't want to do this, but here's my unabashed plug for the silly book. Lasers, cavers, of course, you know what cavers are in magic. The lasers, of course, was my business. The cavers was my experience with these Bilderberger people. Then magics, of course, is the progression into the world of metaphysics and learning how to use the psychic skills. Okay, I was going to have UFOs in the title too, but I left that out. I thought that was a little too cumbersome. But anyway, so we need to, you know, when I talk about also how I had to learn that lesson about not fighting the oppressor and serving the victim, well, this was for this very reason. Because these guys expected me to raise an army and to go to battle and do war with these people and penetrate their thing and go down below and go to town, all right? And for the longest time, I actually thought that I might even do something like that. And I thought that I would first build up my psychic skills and perhaps raise a whole group of people who are also very skilled psychically, and we would go become psychic warriors and we would root out the vermin. But as I became more metaphysically inclined, I learned, help the guys on the surface, forget about those guys down there. But that doesn't mean I can't tell you about these people, okay? So, and that's the enlightenment thing. We want to know about the good and the bad and the ugly, okay? And this is why they can get away with the crap that they get away with, because they have such an extensive network, this underground government, you know, they can move things beyond borders, and they've got the resources. It's incredible. The technology down there, all the Tesla technology that gave us free energy and free lighting and all this stuff, they've been using it. They keep it to themselves. They don't run wires back and forth to communicate or to make light. They have Tesla technology. So at the very least, we should, you know, if we want to usher in this change, we need to confront these things, and we need to do what we can to make them stop. And at the very least, if that means that we all have to know about it so that we can all focus our energy on it, whatever it takes. But the way I see it, this is the Illuminati's house of cards, and the Getty is the weak link, and they know it, because if you go down there, if the media says we want answers, show us that this is true, show us that this is not true, they can't. Because this is the can of worms. This is Pandora's box. What do you get when you go down there? First of all, you've got the bunkers. You've got the Nazis. You've got their, dare I say it, the raving Zionist types. You've got Satan worshipers. Oh, Satan worshipers, I forgot about that part. What do you get at the very bottom? The very, very, very bottom is a satanic temple. There is human sacrifice going on down there. Yeah, missing children, missing exploited children. How many, 100,000 children go missing every year, something like that? We all know that the ones in Montauk, you know, everyone who talks about the kids getting, you know, taken around Montauk. Well, they're doing them in L.A. All these kids and people, homeless people in L.A., they're disappearing. They don't have far to go. It's right there. They take them downstairs. You know, I'll tell you, the woman that did the remote viewing, she's kind of a pagan, kind of a witch type person, you know, as many in this community are. They consider themselves witches, and they're not very Christ-oriented. And usually when these people are confronted with something like a satanic altar with blood and the whole 9 yards, they go into the defensive mode. And I've seen this more than once because they always say the same thing. And you really know it's real that when they affirm it, when they start saying stuff like, you know, God and Satan is really the same thing. That's the first thing they'll tell you. They'll say, oh, it's okay, God and Satan is the same thing. Didn't you know? And like, where have I heard that before? You know, now, that thing I told you, okay, that one line about the metropolitans, okay, that comes from the protocols from the elders of Zion. There, I did it. I said it. I'm sorry, okay? I'm not an anti-Semite. I have lots of Jewish friends, but this book was written 100 years ago, and it's 100% accurate. They describe everything. 100 years ago, they're talking about these undergrounds, these metropolitans. Well, what's the point? Anyway, they... Sorry for going off on a tangent like that, but I had one of my handlers, the guy, his name is Vince. He's dead now. They heart attacked him. They took him out. You know, this sometimes happens with people who think that they can control me, and they end up, I control them. They get in trouble and they get removed. They get fired because they failed their assignment. Well, I wrote Vince an email. And the only thing in the email was I quoted that one little paragraph from the protocols about the metropolitans. And he immediately, I said, hey, what do you think of this? And he immediately responded, you know, we're not just Jews, we're also Nazis. Look, see Nazis, right here, Nazis. I'm like, wow. And I thought that was, you know, that knocked me back. That took me a year to get used to the whole idea. A whole year to comprehend that Nazis and Jews could be working side by side. I was so programmed, I couldn't comprehend that idea. So I had to go back and start studying about the Nazis. I learned about Operation Paperclip, the Operation High Jump, New Schwabenland, all, you know, the Nazi submarines, the Vrills, all the Nazi UFOs. So that was a whole another year or two of research just to get caught up to that business. But the thing about Vince is, he said the same thing as this other remote viewer, and it was that it's an affirmation, you know. And see, this is the thing, so you guys got to understand when the politics is a bunch of crap. This Republican and Democrat stuff, it's a bunch of crap, okay? World War II, that's called a Holocaust. What does the word Holocaust mean? It means blood sacrifice. All those humans were a blood sacrifice. And who did they get sacrificed to? Who wants blood? There's only one entity out there that asks for blood, and it's not the Creator. Okay? Now this really pisses people off, especially when they look at the Old Testament. And I don't want to say, you know, because I have a lot of Jewish friends, they say, well, what about, you know, ancient Hebrews? They did this and they did that. I'm like, well, you know, I'm not going to judge you guys, you know, but my rule of thumb, if there's blood involved, it's the bad guys. Okay, now you guys know the different cultures that sacrifice humans. All right, well, the good guys don't do that. Dulce is soaked in blood. The whole purpose of dulce is blood. Okay, I'll tell you why, real quick. Now, we discussed the different type of aliens, the service to self entities and the service to other entities. Well, when you go into the fourth density, and this doesn't necessarily apply to the service to other entities because they're more like us, they're human, but when you're talking about little gray guys and reptoids, they tend to have a nutrition requirements that are 50% spiritual and 50% physical. Now, what the physical component is the blood product, which they don't consume, they don't drink it, they actually bathe in it and they absorb the nutrients through osmosis. They'll have tanks will just, you know, soak in the blood. Well, the spiritual nutrition is called loosh, L-O-O-S-H. This is what they call it. What is loosh? Loosh is negative, human, emotional, psychic energy. Okay, what is that? The opposite of love. Hate, anger, fear, despair, loneliness, heartbreak, anxiety. When you watch a scary movie, you're generating loosh. When somebody breaks your heart and you're sitting home feeling sorry for yourself, you're producing loosh. They love to get somebody like me upset. That's right. And this is one of the reasons why they like to stick us in these big cities. Keeps us, it's like cattle in a stockyard. You know, why would you want to have your cattle scattered across the country? It's much easier to manage them when they're in one little place. Then you can collect that energy really easy, you know. Perhaps the cell phone towers may even be part of that. I mean, I don't know how they collect this energy, but you've got a place like the Getty built underneath LA County. Can you imagine how much loosh LA probably produces on a daily basis with all the crap that goes on in that city? Ghostbusters, den of iniquity. Well, you know what? All these negative guys, we talk about these reptoids and whatnot, and they feed on this loosh, this negative energy. Well, again, what's the opposite of that? If they need this negative energy to survive, then what's poisonous to them? Love, happiness, joy, lack of fear. So, when someone says, yeah, the nuclear coming, da-da-da, da-da-da, don't focus on all the little details about this is going to happen, this is going to happen, should I build a bunker, should I get food, water, blah, blah, blah. Worry about your soul. Worry about which boat you're going to get on. Remember, this is all about service to self or service to others. Okay, and the other thing that's important about this transition that we're moving into is I like to call it make your own reality day. Okay? Because on a fourth density level, your thoughts become reality on a third density. Okay? And this is why people that are artists and creative, when they see things in their heads and they make music and songs, they hear the music or they can see the picture in their heads before they even create it, that's God-like. That is the true nature of God and creation. And we're blessed to be able to do that. So this is so important. We talked about lucid dreaming. Where's our lucid dreaming guy? I don't see him. There he is. Lucid dreaming is an incredibly powerful exercise because you are pumping out light out of your third eye when you do it. And I find myself when I'm driving, I'll start daydreaming. I'll have lucid dreaming. I'm driving, I'm awake, but I'm starting to visualize. I'm thinking about a person, maybe a girl or something, and I see their head, their face in my mind. Next thing I know, street lights are going off. Sometimes a whole string of them down the street. And and it'll kind of wake me up. It'll jar me. And I'm like, why is that? Well, that's because we have a pillar of light coming out of our heads. You can't see it. It's actually white light. And it's not just light. It's also FM. It's all this energy and it's scalar energy also. But the thing is that the more you work on your psychic skills, the more this energy is going to be projecting and protruding. And when you pray, that's what you're doing. You're sending that image out. And this is why it's important that we watch our intake of aluminum. We use things like this to clean the environment around us. We don't drink fluoride water because we got to get that calcium off our pineal because this is our pipe, and we don't need that clogging of the pipe. We need that stuff to just gush, And that's what I envision. And I'll tell you real quick. You talk about the magnetic waves around the Earth, okay? Well, and I'm not talking about magnetic frequency, but it has to do more with the amount of the lines. And they quantify that in an increment that they call a Tesla unit. Okay, you guys familiar with that? The scientific community just basically decided to name this energy after Tesla, which is a great thing. And they called it a Tesla unit. Well, a human brain, and that isn't even the most powerful organ. The heart actually produces more. But the human brain produces something like 400 units of Tesla. Okay, that may not sound like much, but the greatest amount of Tesla ever recorded on Earth came from a Soviet hydrogen bomb. And I think it put out something like 40,000 Tesla. So if a human can put out 400 and a hydrogen bomb puts out 40,000, what could a million humans do? How many Tesla could a million humans make? And there's 6 billion of us on the Earth? What if we all what if we had 6 billion people putting out 400 Tesla minimum? And what if we bump that up to who knows how high? Think of what we could do. We could make our own magnetic field around the Earth. Who cares about polar shift, right? Aliens going to try to bother us? You think they're going to mess with people that are more powerful than hydrogen bombs? I mean, yeah. So, during the Clinton administration, after I had found out about these Getty guys, they tried to get me on the team. So they said, come on, we're all Earth humans here. We're not Republicans, we're not Democrats, Jews, Nazis, whatever. We're all in this together. And they said, help us defend the earth against the aliens. I thought, okay, all right, let's stick together. Sure. I said, okay, don't shoot down any more planes. I said, I'll work with you guys if you don't shoot down any more planes. That was Flight 800. I said, don't shoot down any more planes. Well, I realized real quick there was nothing that I could make, no super laser, no super gun or whatever that was ever going to do any good. And real quick, I realized it was psychic energy. That was the only way to go. And that's when I went down the path of the metaphysics and started doing everything I could to enhance my own psychic energy. And inadvertently, I discovered peace, and the good side, and the light side of light, love and light, and all that good stuff. Anyway. Well, I hope you guys learned something today. So yes, the Getty is the big deal. All right? I want you to tell everybody. I want you to light a fire under these people. Okay? Because it's us. And I'll tell you, it's the weak link because this is a civilian thing, but it connects to every other base. Okay? It goes underneath every border. So I don't care about continuity of government. I don't care about Noah's Ark. I don't care about, condos for the elite, all right, or whatever. Whatever they tell you is crap, all right? They don't care about us. It's like I said, they want us to die, all right? Well, let's get our own house in order. Let's get our own brains working. Turn off the damn TV. Stop eating the fluoride, and start serving others. Okay? You can't start soon enough. You've only got so much time left. If you want a ticket on the right boat out of here, start serving others because we're going to graduate and a passing grade requires 51% service to others. Anything less and you fail. Okay? 100% service to others is great. If you can do that, that'd be like Jesus or Gandhi or Mother Teresa, but who can do that? So try to be at least 51%. And if you don't think you're 51%, do a little bit more. And that doesn't mean just serving humans. That means serving animals, okay? Because they are lower density creatures. And the higher densities need to bring the lower densities up, okay? So be kind to each other. Control your egos. Be humble. Serve others. Learn and teach. And sex is good too. Well, it is. Anything that makes you calm is good. Anything that helps you increase your energy, and anything that helps you balance your chakras and balance your energy, because you need to have equal amounts of male and female energy to be enlightened, and that's awful darn hard to do. That's why we seek out partners to help us balance. And it doesn't just help us balance, it also helps us increase our flow. Okay? But the number one way to increase your flow and increase your psychic skills is service to others. Okay? And real quick, you're going to learn to do healing. You're going to learn to move energy, and you're also going to learn to manifest. And manifest is the most important thing there is, because ultimately, when you get really good, you'll be able to manifest instantaneously. Abracadabra, Portia. That is instantaneous manifestation. And we want to use that as a tool to protect the earth, okay? So when you're manifesting, don't just think Mercedes, new car, girlfriend, house, whatever. Think of how you can serve other people. And don't worry about serving too much, because they'll start serving you, and the universe will give you back twice as much as you put out. So you're going to be in a never-ending battle to try to serve more and more and more, but so what? Okay? Hope you guys enjoyed my little speech.
Thank you, Stephen, and we enjoyed it. Hopefully we get more time for tomorrow. Your book is on Amazon, right?
It's on
Lulu.com, lasers, cavers. Support Stephen. Support everybody here. These guys need your help. Is it $25?
$18.95 for the paperback and $8
$18.95 for paper bag. And so now you got to give me a couple of free copies. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you. We got 10-minute break music, and Jerry Avalos will talk about lucid dreaming. He's been master of lucid dreaming. within. Oh yeah, please help Dennis with his DVDs. All the lectures we made on DVDs today, and you can. They're available now. And the ones we just did, it will give them another hour. So let's run the music. Drew.